So
It's almost, I just have to push a few more buttons here.
Anybody mind if I take a couple photos in here while you're in here? No one's attempts that they already have. Be sure to speak up. Not at least, please.
everyone's against it.
That's good. Photoshop.
You're bad. Like create like AI, like we're all in like Hawaii on vacation. Make everyone jealous. Put like palm trees all around us and like high tides. Okay, let's do it. Wouldn't that be fun? Yeah. Arden's like, yeah. Well, you have a Hawaiian shirt on.
It's
Close and
awesome.
A Hawaiian shirt. Thank you.
It's my most playful spirit.
It's very right. That's why I did my little like
thingies trying to
yeah.
brave the chill, which is not really
Yes.
it's summer.
Show us that
So,
Hawaiian awesome. Exactly.
And there was one of them, and his eye or her eye, their eye is like this button.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
really
know if
cool.
that was
Yeah.
on purpose, but I
Maybe.
noticed it.
Yeah.
Definitely noticed.
That's awesome.
Here we go.
All right. Well, welcome back, everybody. For the more of Nebraska celebrates the International Day of Play, the play of prose and poetry. And if anyone's a playwright, feel free to jump in on playwriting. I'll go check out there. But for now, prose and poetry. Maria and Arden, they prepared well to be able to write, talk about writing, teach about writing. And there's something about the way that they have with words that it feels like it goes deeper than words somehow. I don't know what exactly it is, but I'll let you guys share. And yes.
Right, it all makes sense to me. So I will mention, like this week I played hard. I played a game where you toss an apple from between a fork to another fork until the apple was annihilated. But I'll kind of start by sharing a little bit of a secret. So when I heard about the International Day of Play, it sounded like fascinating. But I wasn't sure if it was applicable to me because despite being a child care provider and nanny and a parent, the idea of play was like a little bit intimidating. I'm past that point now, but I decided to document my journey with some prose. And so I'm ready to laugh at myself, share the journey, and so on. So my first strategy that I used was to search in OneDrive for the word play. Right. I was like, is it in there? What comes up? Found a poem I've written a few years ago. It's called Tomatoes. I was like, oh, maybe there's some hope in that one. There was music playing in the poem, but it was about the disintegration of my cousin's family. So pretty big, but still there. It did bring me back though to the idea of play and humor, and the way I use humor to cope, and the places where I'm writing about hard stuff in a way that folks have described to me as lacking bitterness. So I was wondering, maybe is my approach then playful, right? I'm often laughing at myself and laughing when things seem to get worse. In fact, sometimes the worse a situation gets, the more I can laugh. Kind of like if things are going to be bad, why not ridiculously bad? And I'm careful with how I interact with other people with my humor and things like that. I thought about the plethora and the variety of times the word play can be used. But I wasn't sure, maybe that was kind of a technicality, so I wasn't sure, could I read about something like playing a trick or playing a game like that apple fork game I had described earlier, playing music, getting played. So another poem that came up reflected on me playing high school sports. And it had this really sketchy dynamic between teenage me and a grown man. So the buzzkill, right? But at this point, I'm really kind of chuckling at myself. right? The predictability of my work. The question my mom once asked me, don't you write about anything happy? And I do, like, I really do. I write about things like the birth of my daughter. I write about connections with friends. But I wasn't quite sure if joy equaled playfulness. But the more I thought about it, and the cooler an International Day of Play seemed, the more I really wanted to find evidence of playfulness in my work, because I think play and humor. And I think I at times am funny, but was I bad at play? Was I bad at play even as a child? There was that one time I got sent to the child psychiatrist for not playing well with others, or rather not playing with others, because when kids were doing an activity I wasn't interested in, I preferred to be off on my own, using my imagination. When I played with toys like my Breyer horses, I remember I did so in absolute silence rather than narrating out loud what the noble stallion was saying to the beautiful mare. I also had a list. So those horses, I try so carefully to say, maybe that was the reason for some of the quiet. I definitely had close friends. I love to play with them. But when I write, I notice that reflections on childhood have a particular undertone to them. Playing doctor, playing with gender, playing a role. So, could I come into play from the angle of play as a performance? Again, I wasn't sure, is that a bit like cheating? Was I trying to sneak in on the technicality of the word, the letter of the law as opposed to a spirit? And I thought to myself at one point, am I the wrong person for this assignment? And I worried, which is probably not something somebody should be doing, preparing for an International Day of Play. Though again, I'm like laughing at myself, right? But I'm worried and found myself having so much to mull over or play with in my head. And this is kind of where my brain stopped. It just basically stopped with the idea of playing with expectations. So I have 2 to 3 poems to read. I'm a queer poet. Mary Oliver was a queer poet. We wrote about nature. I wrote a poem addressing Mary Oliver. But gentle rebuke sneaks in where one might expect praise. I wrote a poem about an ex who had an affair. But for one would think, surely this will be all bitterness, one will find the complications of gratitude. And then to play with expectations even more, who wrote a coming out of age poem about a tampon? This guy, right? So I hope that you all enjoy these poems. And later on, I'm going to lead us in some writing prompts that I promise have produced playful writing in workshop participants. Folks in those workshops were interested in poetry, they were interested in fiction, they were interested in creative nonfiction, and playwriting as well. I know that came up earlier. I mostly write poetry and fiction and creative nonfiction, but I taught students who are working on screenplays, stage plays, and things like that. And they have found these prompts, which are lurking in that box over there, to be helpful. So that is my prose on play. Hopefully you think I'm playful. I'm feeling more playful than ever. Yeah. Fantastic.
Love it. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. When Nick asked me, he was like, "Do you know any poems that are playful?" I'm like, "I don't know." And I'm like, "Well, I have poems about getting drunk." And often those can lead to a sense of play. So I'm going to open up with this first one. It's aptly titled, "We Bury a Gecko at 3 a.m. after drinking too much white rum." Oh, and I should mention something. My first poem, 16 years, Pulse, yay, is finally out into the world. And it was not so much playful in the process, though some of the poems are. And so I have some QR code bookmarks here. And I'm gonna read my first poem. Thank you. We bury a gecko at 3 a.m. after drinking too much white rum. Let's have a funeral, I said, urging you out of bed. We placed the body in a bowl of earth. His star-shaped claws pointed everywhere. His pale green intestines visible belly. You scraped dirt with a spatula and said it was crazy. But I was eased by the fact there were plenty crazier. The group of surfers who lived in a grass-thatched hut had told me the night before that every powerful lineage of humans carries reptilian DNA and lives below the earth. Anything that I fancy. That was I believed them because I needed someone to believe me. I was piecing back my sanity after a man back home had slid behind me from shadow to shadow, and now that I had finally been heard, I was ready to bury that story that had gone unexamined, just filed away in the small town police station. I hadn't yet lost others to heartless disease, so this small one of a lizard on that pioneer island was big enough to mourn as one of my own. As you sprinkled a fistful of soil on its diamond-shaped head, I bowed, strangely sober, and ready to accept this wreath, when, to our speechless surprise, the tawny body, writhed like a starfish, surged out of the hole and went flashing off into the jungle. Kind of grateful and surprised, and then someone came after me after reading. It's like, I was just nerves, right? I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, when lizards die, like sometimes they have these like nerve twitches, but I refuse to believe that. The name of the play, and I'm going to say that lizard is alive and well, hanging out with all plays with this room, but I'll see you soon. Okay, this is another one, and it's titled Ha. And yeah, the guy I was seeing at the time just happened to have photos with him. So take it there. A man and a woman walk into a motel. He tells the woman behind the desk that he's Joseph and the woman he's with is Mary. The marble-faced clerk cracks a grin. Lying in bed afterwards, he puts a rub globe on the woman's nose. Tell me why you're a clown, he says. Because I'm always hitting people with my rubber band, she says. Because I wear shoes so big I can barely walk. Why do you think you're a clown? She asks him. I am capable of not taking myself too seriously for the rest of my life, he says. Now you tell me. He puts the nose back on her face. Why could you run for Global Clown Council? Because I fall when I don't mean to, and then get up. I dive into men like tiny glasses of water, and then cram myself into cramped cars and drive long distances, she replies. That's just depressing, says the mayor. I'm not talking about being a sad part. But I am sad, she insists. I was reckless with someone's heart, and now my tears are painted on. And he says, there's a way you can bury your heart so it grows. And just like that, it's a corsage from her chest. And so then she presses it like an exit and sprays herself with laughter. Thank you. This one I really like. I hesitated to read it, but I'm reading it anyway. So one time, a wonderful woman and I, who's a poet, we had too much to drink. We abducted baby Jesus from his food. It was awesome. So this one is titled Kidnapping the Baby Jesus. And I promise we returned him. We didn't hold him for ransom. We brought him back, but all that remains to be seen. Kidnapping the Baby Jesus. It began like everything gone wrong that goes right. The deft tug of a cord that plugged his body from the manger, lifting his hollow frame from his sleep. You and I barely able to breathe through smothered laughter as we tipsy thieves wrapped the baby in my sweatshirt. It was the perfect crime. We left the nativity and Mary's virginity intact, left the wise men to leer and long for a glimpse of her breast. We freed the child star from a troubled life of waking up next to strange priests, rubbing the last smatterings of coke into his gums, wondering where his life had gone, making a career of dying forever. I'd be pissed too, I said, and slid the infant down the playground slide. You gave him a spin on the carousel swing. Finally, we left him at the top of the jungle gym to contemplate the world, which, let's face it, my lord, wrong hole. Back at my house, you confessed, as a boy, you put on your mother's oversized dress, and she'd chuckle, and your father would say, let's not encourage this. And because every kid deserves a second chance to be wrenched free from their tether and set into the night, you said, do me up, I want to shine. And so I winged your eyes with liner, made your lips bright melon, and wrapped your hips in a thrift store dress. And you were all lit up, a child, a woman, a god, done up in drag, and placed upon high, where you could finally be seen. And I'm pretty sure that the next day where he was, like, on the jungle gym, they brought him back. I mean, it was just like, we're very ambitious. They were just literally around the corner. So they took him and put him back into his mediator. So he was here to this day. Do you know how proud I am? This is being recorded. People over on Bradfield, if you wonder who took your baby Jesus.
But didn't,
Yeah,
yeah,
did not.
a good night.
That's a completely ethical abduction. Thank you. Okay. And yet, I need a protected life. You needed to hang out in the jungle gym. You know, that's the only diner. Okay. This one is about finding the play. Oh, this is a good one. So for a while, my friend used to live, we used to live in Provincetown, and we drive a karaoke cab. And whenever we have like a really shitty night, we would just spend the night driving around, we pick up drag queens, we would sing, but often the drag queens would sing a lot better. So, karaoke cab. On Jake's slow nights, this was our heartbreak ritual. I'd hop into his cab and bitch about my drunk again lover. Jake said he'd finally sworn off his fire-stick twirling girlfriend who'd left for Burning Man without him. We drove around while we looked for passengers, past drag queens dressed as Beyonce and Lady Gaga, past the fat piano man who played show tunes and heckled the audience, past Will Strong, the naked male guitar group. This is the last time, we agreed. We drove past the old colony tap where a woman sobbed outside and battered fishermen slumped in the front booth, along with my ex, a whale watch boat captain who just gracefully stepped off the wagon again. We called that window seat the fishbowl where you drank and you swirled for years, but Jake and I kept driving. On top of his cab, colored lights spun. A microphone projected our voices into the street. Once we picked up a drag queen dressed as Cher with a young man so drunk he fell to the floor. And from the back, Cher began to sing. And somehow the blue curtain inside us lifted. And no, we didn't believe in life after love. But we wanted to chime in about the possibility of a broken and bound heart brought up by adhesive and imagination, until we felt something rise up, like a man slapping on Spanx, heels, and hair, teased high enough to lift us beyond a place where people relive the same mistakes, dress differently, and instead keep going and making up the words as we drive along. So, you heard of it? This is the last one, and this is one of the things when I don't know if you've ever felt this way, but the thing about home ownership is it can suck. Because like if you have something really bad happen, you deal with it, right? You don't call landlord to deal with it. And so what I've tried to do is kind of like infuse a sense of play and to have a sense of humor about when things like metaphorically and literally shitty happen. So this one is titled Self-Portrait as a Clogged Toilet. For once, a disaster you can control. Wild, wet rat girl, hunkered at the bottom of your self-made sewer. Now the tide flows over your great white goblet. You should clink it with another glass. Here's some normal person problems you've bent your head in prayer for before. At the same pale bowl, after drinking too much yellowtail, because whatever half-mad man you loved sank deeper into his own drink, went fishing with a younger girl, or stained your door with his manic shadow. So some days you have to praise the simple outpouring of your own shit. Here's to skid-marked years you soiled your reputation as a tired angel held back your hair, only for you to cough and plunge into another older man's arms. Whatever weary force turned back clean blood tests, whatever unnameable thing expelled bad choices from your body, must be melt before, like a porcelain altar. And now, as you watch the bowl erupt what you thought was contained onto the white tile floor, maybe this is God's giant phone. Those years you called and just heard the ringing of your hungover off the hook head. Perhaps there was always the answer. Maybe not the one you wanted, but maybe the one that you needed, telling you, don't cry over spilled bread, telling you, rise and clean up your human mess. And now sewage floods your floor, and still you wade out into the dirty, blessed waters of what you swore you left behind for good. Thank you.
I can't snap, but I'm proud of
Ken, you just did it, didn't you?
No, I'm faking it.
Really?
Yeah.
You're fake snapping?
Yeah, well, I'm just, making try. See, no sense.
Really? No sense.
Well, I mean, what I can do is I can do this. Oh, which some people think is trickier, but I mean, like, I just feel weird if I were to be like,
It's trickier.
Yeah.
Can you do it?
Only your fingers out of your sockets?
well, I'm
No,
not.
he's not.
Yeah,
Are you doing? Oh, I thought you were just snapping your knuckles.
I am.
Oh, you're just cracking your knuckles.
No. I'm like, I'm making little claws. So if you make claws,
Right.
and you put the claws down,
It's like, I know how to
claws together, and then you pull the claws apart. That's what I can do to make the sound of snapping. But mostly what I do is just kind of this. But I wanted to say, I'm snapping like that in your poetry. Even though there's no sound coming out, and I'm so glad to be with you today. Yeah, excited, and I'm excited I took one of the little swags in your book, and you reminded me that I should remind people that I also have a book. It's in chapbook. So it's in a collection of poetry. It's called Bloodwater Parish, and you can find out about it at Seven Pigeons Press or my website, Arden Eli. I'm easy to find, basically. But I don't have swag. Sorry. This first poem is called "The Route to Mary Oliver." Has anybody heard a poem about geese? And like okay, if you've heard a poem about geese and your wildlife and things like that, then you've heard the work of Mary Oliver. And you'll probably feel like you can hear her in here as well, which is because I playfully took some of her lines and mashed them into my own work. So this is the poem review to Mary Oliver. Maybe you felt like you had to be good. Your silence a distance of 100 miles of desert. Little wet flower of me, repent. Later, when I no longer felt I needed permission, you tell me I have only to let the soft animal in my body love what it loves. Tell me and I will tell you. Meanwhile, the world went on at times. It drove over me. The sun at hell, the stars said I was headed for it. the rain, a tired metaphor moving across my page. I too loved the landscape. For me, it was the hemlocks of North Carolina. The lone tulip poplar stands of pine, but the French Broad River and the unnamed creeks were also where I wanted to sleep when I felt my body was impure, no kin to the clean blue air, much less those keys for the home to head to. What if you had called to me? Meanwhile, your silence and the world of certain smells, shut doors, hushed lights, announced my place in a family of things. And that is the next poem is called What I Would Say to You If She Still Spoke. And it opens with a line by Raymond Carver who says, I wanted to tell you. So this poem is the dress. Your friends, the ones who were once mine, would suspect it would probably be something like you. There has been the first lie, cheating, the body for body switch of me and your affair partner, rolling into what had been my side of it. My friends, especially the ones who liked you, which honestly was all of them, might think something more directive like drop dead. I am still grateful to you, I would say. It isn't that I've forgotten my daughter's scream when I told her leaving behind the room she painted herself. It is that I remember and still hear her laughter. When I was younger, the drowning boy bumped into me at the pool. It was so crowded I would not have seen him. His own father scanned the crowd in turn until I lifted his son from beneath the surface. I held the boy aloft above the crowd that rendered visibility a luxury for a swimmer. His father never thanked me. Still, it is the best thing I've ever done. I did thank you for driving me to the ER, for the insistence you showed. You told the doctor, we are not going home until we have answers. You were the advocate I am not. We ran so many tests, sucked blood, and injected contrast. They were writing the dismissal papers, which you said quite clearly we would not accept when the last test came in. I wonder if you would consider taking a stand for me, the best thing you've ever done. The surgery was the next morning, the cancer was found, I lived long enough for you to leave me. And that's the second. And so here's the one that I was hesitant to read. It's called The Tampon. I feel like people are like hesitant to talk about those things. So here we go, right? And on record, right? The tampon. It goes in sideways. I asked my friend's mom for directions since I can't ask her to just put it in for me so I can swim like the other girls. Years later, when I believe my blood has left me for good, I'm in the hospital with a tumor cut from my bowels. The tender tract, silver staples, runs up my abdomen. Nurses bathe me daily. I was once called shameless as a dirty name. I was once dirty because I was too sick to shower myself and had no lover. The best I could do was to have a neighbor come over to mop my floors, so at least my body could inhabit someplace clean. But I had mono in the 7th grade. My mother held my head above the bath water, so I didn't slip under and drown. I'd have died of shame if my friends all told me. At summer camp, we showered in a large room with no stalls, spiders in the corners, so many bodies that mine had to be okay. Breast, pubic hair, nipples, labia. In college, I modeled news. I tucked my tampon string inside me and thought of my friend's mother. She made us beignets for breakfast. We drank orange juice from a can. I eventually made it to the pool, all on my own. And that's the last one.
You did it.
No,
No,
that's
that's-
the clause.
Oh, it was a flaw.
Yeah, I can choose between like.
Oh, yeah.
Or look or sound.
Yep, or, yep.
I
And
hope
I-
people try this at home.
I have been excited.
You can,
Or did you make that?
oh,
Definitely, I think most people can. Can anyone else do this? I feel like it's your secret skill.
me,
We all have a secret skill. That's your secret.
it's how I learned to compensate for. Oh, okay, if I can look like I'm, oh,
Little fingers.
yeah.
I'm getting the sound effects.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Right, right. Well, yeah. How should we get started? We have, oh, we have my writing prompt, box thing. So, it's like full of stuff. I have an activity for us. And I would, maybe have, you know what, I'll have the first activity be, something that I like to think of as like a playful body position. You don't have to stand up. You can do this activity in your chairs. If you're like, oh, my knee is aching, you can still do this activity. And basically what I'm going to do is ask you to put your body into what feels like a playful position. And then just kind of hold that pose for a few seconds, right? I'm not going to ask you to do yoga or, you know, anything like that. And then you'll write about what comes up for you when your body in that position. Because I think sometimes our bodies hold memories, our bodies hold ideas. And I want to try this approach to get those ideas out for you. So when I say go, we'll all get into a playful position. And then when you feel like you're ready to get out of that position, right? Then you'll have just about like 10 minutes to write, and you're not gonna have to share these things, they're just for you. But hopefully you'll leave here with at least some ideas for where you might want to go forward with the story or the poem or the true confession, right? Anything really. Okay, so are you ready? All right. Go. Okay, and then, wow, I think some folks are tired or,
This is like, I don't even know, performance art, like.
yeah.
Flash mob, we're all gonna start dancing to the real in a minute.
Well, thank you for humoring me on our day of play. Go ahead and get started writing. Got some paper, you got some pencil, and while you're doing that, set up the next prompts, but I'll keep an eye on the time.
Yeah, I was listening to this. Let's do this, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
We're gonna turn on our conversation.
But,
Yeah. For folks, and I'm saying, you should just wear your layers and stuff.
yeah.
Okay, that's great.
I can show where the budget to this is out, and then, yeah.
Only for like, I'm so.
Yeah, I have a little pen to use.
Oh. I'm sorry, are we supposed to just write or are we waiting for the phone?
The body position was the prompt, so whatever that position got you thinking about or remembering, now you've got about 10 minutes to write about that. And while you are writing, I'm setting up. So then we'll do this thing. There's 2 prompts. And it's Timothy the Blobfish. History of Bauer. You've got 1 minute left with this prompt. Okay, folks, so you might have started the most interesting or engaging piece of writing in your life, and now I've told you we have to pause, and that's probably very frustrating. But you're welcome to continue in the next prompt. The next prompt invites people to come up, or I'll get to this hand around kind of feeling thing. And look at an object. You can touch the object. You can, just hopefully don't damage the object. These are not to take home. There is something to take home later, but just kind of see what these things bring up for you. And this embodiment of, maybe childhood or, interest or things like that, is the hopefully inspiration for this this final writing session, which like the first one will be about 10 minutes. If you do not feel like coming up, for some reason I really stuck on the example of if your knee is bothering you. I think it's a weather thing, right? So if your knee is bothering you or something like that, I will send this around. This also has things inside of it that you are welcome to take out, examine, play with, and so forth. So if you'd like to, now is the time to come forth and look at an object and then begin to write about what that object brings up for you or reminds you of. Or you're welcome to stay put and pick an object in here as this travels around the tables and write what that brings up for you or gets you thinking about. And if you felt really frustrated at having to stop the first writing prompt, you're welcome to keep going with that one as well. I'm not going to check on you. It's not homework. It's not meant to cage you in. These are very fun. Yeah. Yeah. This is a dog toothbrush. And that is a everybody needs human toothbrush. Just oh, that's my daughter put her fan back in my bag. Yeah. Not asking.
Yeah, one here. Yeah, it's bigger 2:30. Yeah, I just got.
Just yeah.
My phone or something. Yeah, I was sick this week, so I was always in tactile, so slow. But yeah. What is your different like?
No, just it's not my right. So I like that job. They remind you of like lassos or something, whatever sounds crazy.
I just look at that.
It's like this is love. Yeah.
What is it? Stop.
Oh, man. That's groovy.
Isn't that Pete?
You know that's not what fish is.
It's what?
You know that's not what fish looks like. right?
Not ice water.
Yeah, it's like that's like a floated corpse that happens to be like pull it into a vacuum basically.
Yeah.
So they're actually normal fish, but then we pull them into the surface like way too quick, and then it just like explodes their body, and then for the rest of the species existence, they're just going to be the fish that gets made fun of for extinct.
That is full. I'm still.
Yeah, you probably was right about the lobster.
Well, I did like a thing where like someone gets abducted by aliens and then they blow up because they're in outer space, and then all the aliens make fun of how stupid they look.
That I think.
Oh, wow.
This little one is on your side.
Oh,
The artists have to get
very cool.
This is cool though, I'm glad that you went to your birthday this day, so. It looks like they have quite a little different topic areas and stuff, so.
You can write about whatever you want, but the object is just a way of getting you started. So for me, that reminds me of summers in Canada, eating a lot of corn. But for you, you might imagine, being frustrated with a boss and wanting to help them with those little things, right? So you can't do it wrong.
Yeah.
No problem. You have one more minute. Okay, folks. So again, I might be cutting you off in the middle of an idea, a sentence, a word. But please continue writing whenever you have the time to go back to these ideas. I hope that you are walking away with some inspiration. The objects need to come back to me, but I do have something for you, which I'll put over there, maybe by the food table. And these are just writing prompts for you to take a small handful, take one, read one, put it back. However you want to engage with these is fine. Just because I wanted to send you home with a souvenir. But these are not specifically geared towards play, but they can certainly bring up some playful ideas. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We did not intentionally match today, and yet here we are. You look great. Yeah, like look at our shadows even. This was not. It's so funny. And yeah, we're gonna get one of us Steve. You get like we watch. Like back to that. Okay.
You know what you want to pose with, like,
Sure.
okay, but you,
I'll take the pink. I was writing about.
okay,
I'll take the fish that I wrote about.
yeah,
It was good. Those are great prompts, Art.
thank you. You know what, I'll put this awesome because
It's
it's
awesome.
sure.
Perfect. Okay.
See, and I will write about this. It's just another peaceful road.
You're
My
teacher.
Oh no. Well, thank you for participating, everybody. And
Yeah,
thanks for
because
listening.
And I'll leave the bookmarks over here. Yeah, unless you're